Arkane is widely regarded as one of the best game developers around, and having created legendary titles such as Dishonored, Prey, and Deathloop, it stands to reason that many gamers are eagerly anticipating the release of Redfall. For all intents and purposes, the game itself looks like a fun co-op first-person shooter, but despite everything Redfall has going for it, there are a few unfortunate caveats that have many gamers hurling their controllers or keyboards in frustration. Redfall was allegedly also being developed for the PS5 prior to Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda, but this has since been cancelled and the game is now an Xbox exclusive. However, some bad news just dropped for console players. If you are hoping to experience Redfall in 60 FPS when the game launches at the beginning of May 2023, think again. Yes, for those of you who for some reason haven't heard yet, there will be no performance mode for Redfall upon launch. Needless to say, this is nothing short of a major deal breaker for many gamers, with one poll at the time of writing indicating that 54% of respondents will not purchase the game until a 60 FPS option becomes available. That said, 26% of respondents did indicate that they're not really bothered by this fact and are happy to wait for a future update for a performance option. For the record, the remaining 20% simply said they are not interested in the game. Assuming the poll is representative of gamers' sentiments as a whole, this is pretty troubling and will undoubtedly affect Redfall's console sales and reviews upon launch, which is actually just unfortunate since the game itself actually has a lot going for it in terms of combat and unique gameplay mechanics. If you're an Xbox owner, be sure to let me know in the comments whether you're waiting for the performance mode or if 30 FPS is all good with you. Now, for those of you playing on PC, it does seem like you'll be able to enjoy Redfall at 60 FPS, but sadly there's some bad news here as well. Yep, despite a ton of backlash and furore, Redfall will be releasing with the much reviled de novo anti-tamper on PC. In other words, even if you can technically enjoy Redfall at 60 FPS on PC, this will probably be impossible for the vast majority of gamers as de novo is notorious for negatively affecting performance and has even been known to lock gamers out of their games in certain instances. I know for a fact that a lot of you out there straight up won't play any game with de novo or any DRM for that matter, and I can completely understand given the performance issues and security concerns this kind of software tends to bring along with it. So for those of you who have or want to purchase and play Redfall on PC, is de novo a deal breaker for you? And if you've played a game with de novo before, what was your experience like? Please be sure to leave a comment down below. Now if you think that's where the buck stops, I'm sorry to inform you that it isn't. Even in single player mode, Redfall requires players to be always online, allegedly so the devs can see how people play the game and gain some insights into areas where they may have had some difficulty. I have to admit this might just be the most dunderheaded part of the Redfall experience since for many gamers, internet connectivity, or at least reliable fast connectivity, remains an issue. Simply put, for gamers who don't have high-speed internet or have to compete with family members who are also using a good chunk of bandwidth, well, too bad I guess. As far as I know, Arkane is looking to do a U-turn on this requirement, but whether this will materialize later on or at all remains to be seen. Personally, I don't really see this happening, so at this point, unless you have a reliable internet connection, you're probably not going to have a good time with Redfall. Sorry fam. All that said, in terms of the game itself, it actually looks pretty darn solid. Okay, I know that IGN did that first playthrough of Redfall a couple of days ago and that there's been a ton of hate and downvotes, and given the performance of the reviewer, I have to say I do understand. But you know, now there's this whole thing on whether Redfall's gameplay is great or terrible. It's even an article on Forbes. I don't know, I actually find this funny more than anything else. I mean, if you're going to go on the IGN gameplay, you're automatically going to be like, yeah, no thanks, bye. As it stands, there are other early play testers and reviewers who have said that gunplay is great and that movement is really fluid, so I tend to believe these guys on that front. As for Redfall's story, it's kinda ridiculous and campy, but personally I think that adds to its somewhat goofy charm. And let's be real, if you're playing a co-op vampire FPS game and worrying about the plot, then I'd suggest watching more B-rate horror and getting to grips with that first. If I'm honest, I feel bullish on Redfall as a game, but with some of the stuff that's being shipped along with it, I can't say I really blame anyone for not jumping in immediately or just not buying the game at all. There's plenty of awesome games out there, so it's not exactly like you aren't spoiled for choice. But that said, I would definitely prefer to see Redfall succeed given Arkane's pedigree and strong repertoire of games. But at this stage, a lot of gamers are just not very happy with what they're hearing and seeing from the devs, so I do obviously have my doubts. It goes without saying that Redfall isn't particularly original or revolutionary in any way, but if anything, it seems like a solid game that's being bogged down by some bad coverage and unfortunate elements that may very well stop many gamers from buying and playing it. I really hope that Arkane pulls this one off, but even the best game studios can make a misstep, and sometimes it's a serious one. Anyway, that's all I got to say on Redfall. What are your thoughts on all of this? Are you all in on Redfall, or are you going to give it a hard pass? Let me know in the comments, please. Be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so I can keep bringing you the latest gaming, VR, and tech content on a regular basis. That's it for now. From me and the Vampire Hunters here at Metasquad, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later!